Hello and welcome to the podcast that is bandaged up and ready to head in an unlikely winner. It's the big man up top.
It certainly is. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Ed. What a weekend for it.
What a weekend. It's the kind of weekend that makes you fall in love with football again,
doesn't it?
It
really does. Just special is the word.
Absolutely. Have we got our magic back, Joe? Has the FA Cup rekindled its magic?
I think it has. I think it's back.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it just felt nice.
Yeah, it
Shame we couldn't
did.
watch any of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, you know, no longer on the BBC apart from the odd few fixtures, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get on to that. But we're going to talk all things FA Cup third round today, aren't we, Joe?
We are, yes.
And obviously, we're going to spend a lot of time looking at the big result, the greatest shock result in FA Cup third round history, Macclesfield. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at all of the other stuff, and we'll come on to that a bit later. It feels like saving your Yorkshire pudding until the end of your roast dinner.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, fair enough. I see that.
Yeah. You know, you have your veg first.
Yeah.
You know, then various potatoes and meats, and save your Yorkshire till last.
I like to intersperse with meat, like each time.
To be fair, I do
a bit of a palate cleanser.
I do a bit of that as well, but yeah, you know, we obviously are going to save the best till last.
We are. We're going to crescendo with Macclesfield, aren't we?
100%. Should we start with a quiz first, Joe?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
I think so. So this is Bible Ballers. It's the quiz section on the Big Man Up Top podcast where we ask you a question and it's going to relate to a Bible baller. A Bible baller is a footballer whose first name is shared with a book in the Bible. I'm really not sure whether you're going to find this really easy and you might get it in 2 seconds, or
we'll find out.
It might be very hard. You ready? So this is a who am I question. I started the 2021 FA Cup final as the central centre-back in a back three for the winning side, although I was taken off injured after 34 minutes.
Ooh.
Any initial thoughts, Joe?
Oh, I'm just trying to think of what that final was. 2021. Was it the year that Leicester won? Leicester beat Chelsea.
So you're going down the route of thinking it's Leicester.
I think it's that someone that played centre-back for Leicester.
Interesting. Well, I'll let you have the rest of the episode to think it through. Maybe mull over, you know, the error of your thinking, possibly.
Ooh.
Or not.
Or not. We'll find out.
Well, let's just go straight into it, Joe. The FA Cup third round. What a weekend.
It was so good. I think weekends like this, like we said before, just remind you of how good football is. The romance of the Cup is back. And yeah, just a really enjoyable weekend of football.
And I think really, we're going to sort of start by saying, I think we'll focus on the sort of less interesting talking points and build up to Macclesfield, because that was the big story. And there's so much to unpack there. But there were sort of lots of little stories going on. One of the big ones being that this was a record-breaking weekend for goals in the FA Cup third round, wasn't it?
Loads of goals. I think like 123, was it? There's
mad.
So many goals, an average of about 4 goals per game, which I think shows a lot about the state of English football. I think there's a big gap between the Premier League and lower leagues in some cases not. But yeah, the difference in quality between these leagues is quite stark in some places, and I think these results show that. Absolutely.
And let's start with probably the most shocking is not the word, because it's not remotely shocking, but the starkest of results. Man City 10, Exeter 1, which feels like something you'd see on Football Manager, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've not seen a 10 before,
no.
Have we? I think since the 80s has a team scored 10 goals.
It does feel like, you know, a result from 1893 or something, doesn't it? You know,
it does. We've had 9 a few times, but this is the first 10 that I've ever seen. And yeah, just not a surprise. I think Man City's second squad is good enough to win the whole competition. Didn't really rest that many players though. Started Haaland up front, clearly a sign of intent that they want to do well in this competition. Also gave Semenyo his debut, got a goal and assist. So everything went well.
I think certainly if you look at the goal scorers, as you say, you know, Haaland was in that team. But if you look at the goal scorers, you've got the likes of Reinders, Rodri, Rico Lewis, O'Reilly, all the kind of players who would be getting goals for City anyway. So it just shows the sort of level of respect that City showed Exeter. My favourite part of this game, though, was seeing young Makaidu scoring his first goal. Lovely finish in the 86th minute, but just the first thing he did was immediately run to the touchline where he embraced his family. I think it's his dad. And you can just, again, it's easy for us to go, oh, well, yeah, City, winning at a canter, what do they even care about this? But actually, you try telling him that it doesn't matter, that it's a worthless cup game.
There's still stories, even in this game. Like, that is such a beautiful moment, and the romance of the cup does extend to a 10-1 win. And
apparently.
Ed, don't forget about that one.
Don't forget about that one.
Don't forget about the one.
An absolute screamer. Wasn't it, for a pick that out situation? 90th minute to, I believe, make it 9-1 possibly.
And Pep's going to be furious about that one.
Yeah,
he's going to be livid.
Yeah, he's going to be. What I absolutely loved about this one was Birch, the goal scorer, running to pick the ball up out the back of the net. The obligatory taking it to the centre. That's what we want. 9-0 down, 9-1 down. Let's we're still in this, lads. Yeah. Absolutely. Wolves also picking up quite a big win, beating Shrewsbury Town 6-1. And again, you can sort of argue on this, okay, what story's in this? I think just a thing of them trying to pick up wins at the moment.
Yeah.
And obviously getting their first win in the Premier League recently. And that's the sort of thing that it might just help them. It would have been awful had they have scraped a 1-0 or a draw against Shrewsbury. Had it go to penalties or whatever it may be. But no, they've finished this game off quite professionally.
So much of a relegation battle is mentality, isn't it? And a win like this, a win this big as well, like this is a 6-1 drubbing. If they'd scraped through, there'd still be some questions asked, but I think getting that winning feeling back at the Molineux, comfortable. I think a big thing here was Strand Larsen getting a hat-trick as well. If he stays around in January, he's going to be vital for them for the rest of the season. So to get some confidence up, I think, is vital for them.
Now, on the Sunday, Arsenal, champions elect, I definitely can't call them that, travelled to Portsmouth. And I texted you, Joe, on the Sunday saying, which game are you fancying here? And we were both of the similar mind that we wanted to watch Arsenal play Portsmouth, mainly because we just thought, well, we don't think there's going to be an upset, but gosh, if there was one here, you can't miss this one.
And it was looking good.
2 minutes in, and all of a sudden, Portsmouth take the lead, don't they?
Yeah, and it was looking really good. They actually played some really good football all throughout this game. They caused Arsenal some problems. And again, Set Piece FC does it again.
Yeah.
It was 2 corners, got them up, 2-1 up. Madueke missed a penalty. He's going to be a bit embarrassed about that when he watches it back. But I think the thing for me, yes, comfortable win for Arsenal. But we spoke about Wolves getting some confidence for Strand Larsen. I don't really understand why Arteta hasn't played Gyökeres here. He needs a goal desperately. And this is a kind of game that you start him, see if he can get a couple of goals, feeling good in that team. That's the only thing for me about this Arsenal win is I would have liked to see them try that and get some confidence for Gyökeres.
Although to play devil's advocate here, I think that this was always going to be a tricky game. Portsmouth were never going to let Arsenal play in the kind of way they would want to play. Their pressing was absolutely fantastic.
Really good.
And I just think that also it's sort of got, you start Gyökeres and he has a really tough time and gets subbed off after 55 minutes written all over it.
I don't think it does though, because they're pressing. And obviously they didn't know that Portsmouth were going to do this. I'd imagine Arteta goes into this thinking Portsmouth are going to do a low block like every other team Arsenal play. Gyökeres can't play against a low block. But when there's space, he's really good. So I don't know. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd want to see that. But they still got the win.
Still got the win, very comfortable in the end. I wanted to pick up at this point, Joe, a really sort of interesting dynamic, I suppose, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, really, which is about obviously all the chat is about money. It's about, this team that have spent X amount on their squad versus this team that have spent Y amount on their squad, and what that actually means. Now, we had a lovely debut from Matt the Stat last week, didn't we?
Yeah, strong debut.
Very strong debut. And he has a really interesting statistic about the cost of the squads and expensive salaries and all that sort of stuff. So I think this could be a really interesting point for us to discuss. Let's have a listen to what Matt says.
For most teams in the EFL, if you look at the cost of their most expensive starting 11 this season, tend to sit roughly where you'd expect them in the league table. But League 2 breaks that completely. Their league leaders, Bromley, should be down in 19th based on squad value, yet they're flying at the very top of the league. So next week we're going to dig into exactly what's going well for them and why they're outperforming everyone's expectations.
So there you go.
Wow.
So Matt talking there about broadly across the EFL, if you look at how much you're spending on your starting 11, your position in the league is pretty much matching up to that, except when it comes to League 2, specifically Bromley, who are doing very well, and we're going to delve into that a bit more next week. But I don't know. I thought it was really interesting to sort of a point of saying, well, maybe when you get down towards League 2 and as you start to get even lower than that, that gap just hugely decreases, doesn't it? And all of a sudden you're starting to look at League 2 teams maybe taking a few scalps, from a league or two above them more often in the future.
Yeah, I mean, League 2 is such a fascinating league because you've got so many teams there that just can't get out. Can't get up. That's such a competitive kind of the League 1, League 2 conference. Those three divisions are so competitive that you've got teams in League 2 that are getting taken over. We've seen with Wrexham how far they've gone. Other teams are trying to with Birmingham in League 1, and so often money doesn't correspond to how well a team does, and it's hard to get out that league. So I'm not massively surprised that's the case, because I think teams are so desperate to get out away from the conference that they'll try lots of things.
Matt actually sent me some supplementary table. In fact, he actually sent me 3 tables of where teams should be if it lined up to their starting 11, the expense of their squad. Stoke were a mid-table championship team.
That's scans.
Which is about right. But thank you very much for that, Matt. We really do appreciate it. But obviously, the flip side to that discussion is the increasing gap then with the bigger teams, with the likes of City, as we mentioned. But then you've got these teams in the Premier League who are doing really well and should be doing really well, and that gap is increasing. Let's look at probably the biggest Premier League clash of this FA Cup third round, this all Premier League clash between Spurs and Villa. This was a really fascinating one. I think one that sort of Thomas Frank will be sort of equally excited and infuriated by all at the same time.
Yeah, there were some really promising moments for them in this game, particularly when they went 2-0 down, which too little too late. They looked really good in that second half, didn't they? Particularly going forward. It seemed like Frank had finally got them playing in a way that was pleasing. But it was just too late, and the damage was done in the first half. Emery is very good in cup competitions.
Absolutely.
He knows what he's doing, and I think any other opposition, potentially Spurs come back and get a result here. But yeah, Frank will be disappointed, but happy in some ways at the same time.
Let's start with Emery and Villa. He's got them playing in that kind of really free-flowing sort of attacking play. Whether they're at home or away, they're just so exciting to watch on the ball, aren't they, when they go forward?
They are. They're so good at passing. They're so good at finding space. And I think the key to this system is Morgan Rogers. If you can find him in space, he's going to make something happen. And a big feature, actually, of Villa this season is how many goals they've scored from long range. I don't know if you've noticed this, but so many, like more than 10 goals this season, have been outside the box because Emery has got them playing in such a way that teams want to back off and, try and stop them passing through them. So then Emery's just said, oh, well, shoot. If you've got the ball on the edge of the box, shoot, and they do it. And they're so good at that.
Interestingly, as you said, after half-time, Spurs just from nowhere seemed to be re-energised. Xavi Simons all of a sudden just looking like an absolute world-beater, and you're thinking, where was that? Where was that in the first half? But certainly there was this sort of moment where the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the home fans sort of because it's been quite a toxic atmosphere, hasn't it, this season? And actually, there was a moment where the players were really giving everything, the fans were really giving everything, and you just got this glimpse of, gosh, if Spurs got it together, they would be a scary proposition at that stadium.
What a proposition that could be. This weekend, Spurs play West Ham, which is already El Sacico, the first one of the season, potentially. Thomas Frank and Nuno Espirito Santo are the two favourites to get sacked next. I don't think Frank's got long left. I think it's too little too late. This is the first time you've seen Spurs all season show heart, I think, at home.
Yeah.
And I do worry for if they don't get a result against West Ham this weekend, then I fear for them.
Speaking of losing, Sheffield United, that was a tedious link,
you
wasn't
could
it?
say that with any game.
yeah, exactly. I was frantically looking down to see who are we covering next. Somebody has to lose. It's the cup. That's the beauty of this weekend. Sheffield United losing at home to Mansfield. This was one of the few sort of shock results that we had, wasn't it? One of the few sort of upsets, shall we say? This weekend.
This was a cracker as well. I switched over to this one once it was clear that Arsenal were winning quite comfortably. I switched over to this game, and Mansfield were 4-1 up. They had a 3-goal lead in this game away at Sheffield United. And Sheffield United
did their best to throw it away.
They really did. Sheffield United came back, led by Patrick Bamford.
Wow, gosh.
Up top for them. But Mansfield just about got over the line after seeing through a barrage of Sheffield United pressure. Fantastic win for them. Huge
win for Mansfield. Now, another all-Premier League tie was Manchester United. Managerless Manchester United? Would you call them managerless?
I don't even know.
What do you call an interim? Who was it? Was it Darren Fletcher this time?
There's just so much you can say here.
Yeah.
There's so many talking points. We don't have enough time. My favourite one was Roy Keane saying that Sir Alex's smell lingers in Old Trafford. I don't know if you saw it. This was the whole thing of Darren Fletcher obviously has been interim manager for 2 games, away at Burnley, home to Brighton, but he asked Sir Alex permission to do it.
You're right.
To take the job for 2 games.
Why?
Yeah,
just you've been offered the
Let
job.
Go
and do it. Yeah.
But this is a thing, like, are they still in his shadow? Like, are they ever going to move on?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I would say yes. And it's one of those things, it's, sport has a tendency of doing this, is that they will just keep looking back and going, well, no one was ever as good as Sir Alex. And listen, that's fair enough. That's why the game has legends. But I mean, they're going to have to snap out of this pretty quickly because it was not good against Brighton. A 2-1 home defeat. What I would say, though, looking every inch the former Manchester United player, as in a striker who's now doing really well, Danny Welbeck.
Well, speaking of United legends.
Doesn't he look fantastic for 35? I mean, like on the ball, not how he actually looks, although,
cracking looking fella.
Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, moving on.
Move on from that.
Welbeck playing really, really well, leading his Brighton team to a 2-1 win. I mean, look, it's one of those. United are in the doldrums as it is at the moment. It's not going to help. It's probably not going to hurt massively either.
Firstly, Welbeck played great. Brighton were phenomenal. Herzler has got them playing really well, particularly away. They always seem to get a result at Old Trafford. Every time I watch United-Brighton, I think Brighton are getting something here. But United is just going from bad to worse. They're only going to play 40 games this season, which is the lowest possible they can play. You've got your 38 Premier League games and the first round of the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, which they've lost both. And that's not happened for, I don't know, years.
Exactly. You're looking back into Champions League days, it's more like 60 games a season, and it's a whole different ball game. And so, and unfortunately, United losing, getting knocked out of the cup there. One upset that we do need to touch on a little more than we have is Wrexham against Nottingham Forest. Now, this was a really, really fascinating game, end to end, finished 3-3, and Wrexham beating Nottingham Forest 4-3 on penalties. Would you say it was sort of one of those lucky things where they got through to penalties and then sort of nicked it, or were they sort of did they warrant the win and warrant getting through? Do you think, Joe?
I think they did actually. I think they looked like they played really well. They missed Kiefer Moore up top. He's been fantastic this season, but They're playing really good football, and actually this doesn't feel too much of a shock.
No.
I don't think. I think when you think, particularly on a Friday night, there's something about this game on a Friday night feels like it's going to be an underdog win.
And the thing that Wrexham have done really, really well, and obviously the Hollywood money has helped with all of this, but the racecourse has become a difficult place to go to. They are playing good football there. They've got a real energy around the place at the moment, upward trajectory and all of that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. For a sort of a struggling Sean Dyche's Forest, it was always going to be a very difficult night for them, wasn't it?
It was, and Sean Dyche did rotate his squad quite a bit. He played a few fringe players that didn't quite work, and he came out after he made 3 subs at half time and said after the match that they didn't do enough. So there was a few team selection things there that Dyche maybe didn't get right.
Great performance from Hudson-Odoi. A couple of goals,
and a really great goal to equalise.
Superb equaliser, absolutely. But yeah, Wrexham getting through. What would you say in terms of, because I think sort of up to this point, and like I said, we're going to talk about Macclesfield. Don't worry, we're coming on to it. But does this fit into the category of giant killing for you, do you think?
I think it's
or is it a cup upset? A cup set? How does this rank?
It's really hard to say, because is it romantic? I think this Wrexham ownership, it's obviously taken quite a lot of stick because of the Hollywood money, the documentary. I think a lot of football fans are quite uptight about this.
Do we think jealous? Just saying.
Could be jealous.
Yeah.
Because it's gone so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they've let's get it right. They've absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
They've spent money really well. They haven't come in and just blown loads of cash on players, and that's what's got them up the divisions. They've spent it in the right places, on the right people, on the right manager.
Crucially, I think with the community behind them.
100%. And they've got the whole vibe of the town, whole vibe of the club. They've just understood what this club has needed. So in that sense, I still think this is a really lovely story, because you have to look at where Wrexham have come from. Yes, there's money involved, but I think this is still a genuinely great footballing story.
And I think it's also sort of, worth saying that actually for this project, this could really help Wrexham kick on. I hate even using the word project, but that sort of feels like what it is.
Yeah.
This could really help them kick on a bit, because I think that they'd come into the Championship and actually found it difficult. This is the first season where all of a sudden they're not just guaranteed to go up again. And this has been a difficult season for them. Found themselves just outside the playoffs and pushing. And actually, this kind of result, goodness me, it could push things into fever pitch over there, couldn't it?
It could, and it's going to be a great episode.
It certainly is,
me.
yeah.
So, Ed, we probably should move on to the main story this week. Macclesfield FC 2.
Yes.
Crystal Palace 1. I mean, the perfect start to an FA Cup round.
Can we call it the ultimate David and Goliath story?
Well, I think it is. Apart from David and Goliath themselves.
Yeah. Apart from the original,
the sequel.
This is officially. Let's just sort of look at it in the cold light of day. This is officially the biggest FA Cup upset in history, isn't it?
Yeah, the number of spaces in between the teams, a division. There's 5 divisions in between, and also the fact Palace are holders.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that this is the current FA Cup holders, and a non-league team have wiped the floor with them, you could say.
Absolutely. There are so many narratives to this story, which I feel like you could pick any number of them. But let's start with the journey that Macclesfield FC have been on in the last few years. Tell us a little bit about that, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, so Macclesfield FC, there was a club called Macclesfield Town FC, who were quite well known, around for years.
I went to the ground. Yes, I was going to say sat in that away end, stood in that away end. Yeah.
Yeah, and sadly in 2020, that club found itself in a lot of financial trouble. It was in £500,000 of debt, and they just couldn't find a way out. Very sadly, the club folded and the fan base lost their club, which is probably the worst thing that could happen in football, is for your club to fold.
So the club find themselves going into liquidation in 2020, and then local businessman Rob Smethurst comes in and buys the club, forms this new entity called Macclesfield FC, and this new Phoenix club, as they call them, rise from the ashes of the old one. And he's this sort of self-made local businessman, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He actually got interviewed during this game. He was interviewed at half-time. When they won, he found himself on the pitch. So this guy loves Macclesfield. He loved Macclesfield Town. It broke his heart when this club folded. He found himself buying this club on Rightmove. I didn't know you could buy a club on Rightmove.
Why not?
Yeah. Do you just search football club?
Well, yeah. Look, we've all spent an evening just scrolling through Rightmove, haven't we?
We have, and
clicking the photos gallery. Oh,
it looks nice.
Oh, so
maybe one day.
Spacious bathroom, yeah.
Yeah. So Rob Smethurst, he actually teamed up with Robbie Savage on this project to kind of rebuild Macclesfield, and Macclesfield FC was born. Now, Robbie Savage actually eventually became the manager of Macclesfield FC, and he saw the club through a number of promotions, back-to-back promotions, to get them where they are today. Now, at the start of this season, Robbie Savage fancied a new challenge and found himself as the manager of Forest Green Rovers, where he's actually doing quite well as manager. In comes John Rooney.
Yes. Now, who is John Rooney, Joe?
Now, I actually didn't know this till this weekend.
Neither did I.
But he's the little brother of Wayne Rooney.
Isn't that incredible? So he finds himself, Wayne Rooney, obviously the BBC know what they're doing. He's on the coverage, Wayne Rooney. And at the final whistle, when Macclesfield have won 2-1, they're asking him, what does this mean to you, of the older brother of the manager who's just got through? And he was, bless him, he was in tears, wasn't he?
He was. And look, Liverpool fan.
Wayne Rooney's not.
I've never been a huge fan of Wayne Rooney. But in that moment, my heart was so warmed by the pride that came across Wayne Rooney. You know, the amount he's seen in football. And his little brother has done this, one of the biggest footballing stories of all time. And actually, John Rooney's not had a great season. Macclesfield aren't doing that well in the league. So hopefully he keeps his job this season off the back of this. But yeah, just such a heartwarming story that he has led this win.
And if all of that wasn't enough, they've also been going through real personal tragedy as well as a team. So less than a month ago, a young player, Ethan McLeod, died in a car accident travelling back from a game. So, you know, we've spoken a lot about Diogo Jota this year and about the effect that would be having on the Liverpool players and all of that. Macclesfield are going through a similar situation, but it's much more raw and recent for them. And so there was a huge banner of him at the stadium, and at the final whistle in the dressing room, Ethan's parents were brought in and were just embracing each and every player and the manager, and again, just that thing of not just that this club has been through the ringer in the last few years, but also just even in the last few months with real tragedy happening like that. It's a wonderful story, isn't it, to see them win? It's
so wonderful. And John Rooney came out afterwards and dedicated this win to him. And just imagine 3 months into your managerial career. John Rooney used to play for Macclesfield. And when Robbie Savage went, he stepped up. He retired immediately as a player, stepped up as a manager, went through this awful situation just 3 months into a managerial career. The way he has conducted himself, brought this team together, and dedicated this whole thing to him and his family is just so beautiful and so heartwarming.
Now, I honestly don't think there's a single neutral football supporter who watches this game and doesn't root for Macclesfield in this one. You know, when they might tune in and see with 5 minutes to go that Macclesfield have got the lead, everybody, except if you're a Palace fan,
it's so funny, isn't it? Because
is rooting for Macclesfield.
Just months ago, we were saying this about Palace.
Yeah,
like in the final, everyone that's a neutral is all for Palace.
Absolutely.
Months later, No one. It's so funny how football works, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do we love an underdog story? Because that's what this is almost the perfect underdog story. Why do you think we love these kind of stories?
I think it's human nature, isn't it? We want the story. I think we look at this situation and we want the best possible story to come out of this. And you're sitting down at 12 o'clock on Saturday thinking, imagine this happens. No one really is like, oh, imagine Palace win this comfortably 2-0. Imagine talking about that on Monday. It's human nature to want the least likely thing to happen in a good way to happen.
So here's the thing. This happened early on in the weekend. It was the early kickoff on the Saturday. If you look at the results as a whole across the weekend, let's say Crystal Palace run out easy 3-0 winners. We do not talk about this game at all. No. And actually, we look at FA Cup third round weekend as being a bit of a bust this weekend, don't we? Oh, great. All the big teams won by decent margins. That's it. End of story.
You're looking at Wrexham as the underdog story.
Wrexham beating Forest on penalties as being
the story.
And you're thinking, but all of a sudden, this one result means that my faith in football is restored.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
What? You know, it's insane, isn't it? I can't wrap my head around it, and also I absolutely can. So when you think of David and Goliath matches in the FA Cup, Joe, which ones jump out at you? Which ones sort of scream at you as this is a classic David and Goliath? A giant killing.
Giant killing. I mean, it's anything non-league, really, isn't it? That is the big one. It wasn't a giant killing, but my first memory was Liverpool playing Havant and Waterlooville.
Yeah,
that was the first.
I remember that. I remember watching it.
That's the first time I've thought. The first game I remember having potential to be a giant killing. So although Liverpool did comfortably get through, there was a scare. I think it was closer than expected.
Yeah, closer than it should have been.
Yeah, but I also remember the Bradford run from a few years ago. John Stead led the line. They beat Chelsea, I think. There's been a few things like that. Barnsley had a run as well at one point.
Well, do you remember the Lincoln City run from a few years back, Joe?
I do.
Getting to the quarterfinals, losing to Arsenal at the Emirates in the quarterfinals of that one, but knocking off a few scalps along the way.
Yes.
Well, actually, I know a guy that was in that in that Lincoln City team. Yeah, he's a Stokey through and through. Of course he is. Matt Reed.
Matt Reed.
Who,
I do remember him.
Yeah, he was the big man up top for Lincoln at that time.
I'm worried that I've booed him in the past.
You might.
Because
he would love that.
He's played for Mansfield before.
That's right.
Hasn't he?
Yeah.
And
when I used to go to Crewe growing up, he would definitely lead the line for a few teams. Probably see him at Lincoln as well. But I remember him coming back, and he was a classic big man up top.
Yeah.
Threw himself about. So I do apologise if I booed you before.
Yeah. Joe says sorry to Reedy, but listen.
Reedy? Do you call him Reedy?
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah.
Best mate.
I thought, I don't know. It just felt like, speaking of FA Cup David and Goliath matches, let's just ask Matt a bit about what it was like being in that Lincoln team and all of that sort of stuff. And I give him a bell, and he was in his car, Joe. Hello, Reedy. It's Ed here, mate.
Hi, mate. You're right.
The first question I just wanted to ask you, mate, was we're talking a lot today about Macclesfield Town. Obviously, that's the big story. What did you watch the game? And if you did, what were your sort of emotions when you saw the result for Macclesfield?
Unbelievable today. Dragged back a few memories of the FA Cup run that I was involved with Lincoln, and they all come flooding back, don't they? All them memories and the fans' jubilation. I think everyone loves an underdog to win as well, so everybody's on their side, and it's brilliant. That's what the FA Cup does, and that's why multiple people have said it's the best competition in the world, and I can vouch for that. I've been played against players I'd never even probably seen before. Probably won't play against definitely won't play against ever again, but the standard, the FA Cup. And on the back of that, Lincoln have bought a new training facility. They're doing well now in League One, where they were only in the conference at the time. So the FA Cup's massive for clubs like that who've got the potential to move up the leagues.
It is. It's absolutely huge, isn't it? And it's a great competition. I want to just bring you back really quickly to that amazing run for Lincoln City. Just tell us a little bit about that run in terms of how did you guys sustain yourself along the way after you'd sort of, beaten one team and you're on to the next round. How did you have hope for like the next game, so to speak?
A lot of it came from the manager, to be fair. We had a good team. We were doing well in the league. I think it was a bit of a respite from the league, obviously. And we just thought, give us our best shot. We trained the week before every FA Cup game. We trained to break games down into 20-minute blocks, 15-minute blocks. The further we got to 10-minute blocks, so you get yourself through them 10, 15-minute periods. And I think when you go to places like Ipswich, who were flying at the time, away from home, there's 5,000 fans there, and for a lot of our players probably haven't even seen 5,000 fans. To have the support that we had was also a massive. I think that's what FA Cup does, brings people from that area in, and it's an amazing competition that and the run we went on, I'll never forget, and I'm sure no Lincoln fan will either. I think it's like I say, the competition there speaks for itself, and it was. And like I say, set Lincoln up now for the future, and hopefully they can progress into the Championship next season.
This is the last question I've got. When it comes to you thinking about that run that you guys were on for Lincoln, what does it mean to you knowing that you and that team are part of FA Cup history in that way?
Yeah, it's massive. It's really nice. I think a lot to be part of FA Cup history. Going to Premier League teams and winning the Burnley game was last minute, and going to Arsenal, I know we didn't get the result, but that was the quarter-final FA Cup for a non-league team, and while you're playing football and you're in that bubble, you don't really appreciate it. Like this weekend, everyone's talking about Macclesfield, but that's only third round of the FA Cup. We got to the quarter-finals and we played at the Emirates, so it does put into context what an unbelievable run that Lincoln went on that year for a non-league team, and we went, like I say, we went to Ipswich. Brighton were top of the Championship at the time, flying, and we turned them over 3-1 at home. We went to Burnley away. Nobody gives we're on tally. Nobody gives a chance. And like I say, we dug in. Our backs were against the wall for long periods, but we had the fighting spirit, driven by the Cowleys, to get a result. And like I say, days like that you'll never forget. Beating Burnley last minute away from home in front of 5,000, 6,000 Lincoln fans, and to that everyone clapped off at the end, and it was a great atmosphere, and there was loads of controversy in that game as well. Obviously the Joey Barton incident, and there was a couple where there could have been a few penalty shouts and stuff, but to come away knowing that you were in the hat for the quarter-final was an amazing achievement. But like I say, at the time you probably didn't realise it, whereas now when you're sitting watching round 3 or whatever, and you're thinking, God, we went another 3 or 4 rounds further than this, which was an amazing achievement. Like I say, at the time you don't realise it, but now I think it sinks in a little bit more.
Reedy, thank you very much, mate. There's a huge delay, so I'm going to hang up now. But yeah, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it, and I'll give you a bell some other time. Hope you're doing well. So there we go, Reedy.
That's phenomenal. What a scalp.
I know.
People keep asking us to get footballers on.
Absolutely, yeah. And well, thank you very much, Matt, for that, for sharing your memories. But why do you think that, we talk about this David and Goliath thing, Joe? What do you think sort of makes this a David and Goliath story, do you think?
Well, I think it's because it was talking about the David and Goliath story. There was just absolutely no way David was going to defeat Goliath. I think on paper, which is a phrase we say in football, on paper, David didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And we know in the Christian faith that we don't do things through our own strength. David didn't beat Goliath through his own strength. So I think the reason that FA Cup kind of scalps as known as David and Goliath in this situation is because we kind of know that there should be no chance that the minnow wins in these situations.
Absolutely. And there's just something really special, isn't there, about again, about that thing of just the fear of, well, we know Goliath has this track record. He has all this, he's
in form.
He's got all this oil money behind him, and the and the likelihood,
state-run giant.
But just that thing of like you're right, that David shouldn't stand a chance here, and actually like that, just his mere presence strikes fear into the heart of his opponents. We've talked about like United in the 90s doing that, and Liverpool in the 80s doing that. Teams were beaten before they even got on the pitch and all that sort of stuff, and that was very much the situation in the David and Goliath story, wasn't it?
And actually, I think we want to have a conversation here about being a Christian and looking at the underdog. And now I don't think it's an exclusively Christian thing to want this, is it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's much more of a human thing. Now, what I would say is it's Christian in the sense that we're all humans, we're all created by God, and we're all created in the image of God as well. I think that we are wired as human beings by God to love to see a level playing field. And football and sport is by its nature not a fair fight. And actually, just seeing a small plucky team like this come up as victors, very much in the David and Goliath model, it makes us something leaps within us, because there's a sense of justice and righteousness in the world all of a sudden. Especially when you look at football and all the money that's involved, all of a sudden you go, well, money doesn't mean everything, does it? And that's the way God works, is that take everything and flip it on its head.
And then when he sent Jesus down to earth, that's exactly what he epitomized as a human, wasn't it? You see the kind of people he was getting alongside, the tax collectors, the weak, the injured. He got alongside those people and he showed, look, I am here to serve those who are feeling the injustice of this world, and those that need that kind of support. That's exactly what he did when he came down to earth.
I think another reason that we absolutely love an underdog story is this sense of, I think we as humans, and again, this isn't just a Christian thing, but we as humans, we thrive on stories. We love hearing about the successes and failures of people that have gone before, the heroic failures or the heroic successes. Oral tradition has just been such a huge part of our of mankind, really, and particularly for the Jewish people in the Old Testament. You look again, so many Old Testament scriptures where it talks about remember this moment, remember this place when you are feeling down, low, or up against it, or whatever, because this story of how I worked in the past can remind you of how I can work today in the present. And I think that thirdly, the other thing that we as humans just absolutely crave is hope. We crave reasons to be hopeful. And just think about what this story is going to do. I am absolutely delighted for that 12-year-old kid, let's say, that watched this game, that saw their Macclesfield team beat these Premier League giants. And just imagine them in 20 years' time when they've got their own kids and they've taken their sons or daughters to the game and they've drawn, Premier League champions Wrexham. And you just think, well, they'll be able to draw upon that story and go, I know this seems hopeless, but I was there when we beat the big boys 2-1, and we not just fluked it, we gave them a really good game and we came away 2-1 victors. Those stories give hope, don't they?
They do, and I think that for me, this point of hope is the distinguishing factor between what is human nature and what our faith brings us. This aspect of hope is something that human nature doesn't actually bring us, I think. It's not natural for us to look at things and find hope all the time, whereas we have this hope in Jesus Christ that we can hold on to. And these stories, this story kind of reminds us of that kind of thing, of look at what's happened before to other people. Look how God could use you in a similar situation, holding on to what he's done in the past.
Okay, Joe, it's time for Bible Ballers.
Yes.
Have you had any thoughts?
A couple.
Okay.
Couple of
Okay.
thoughts.
Well, let me ask you the question again. It's an FA Cup special.
Yeah.
It's a Who Am I? Who am I? I started the 2021 FA Cup final as the central centre-back in a back three for the winning side, although I was taken off injured after 34 minutes.
Interesting.
So, have you nailed down who you think this is?
Well, I think it's a Leicester City player. The only name I'm thinking is James Justin, whether he would have played in a back three. Because there were other centre-backs at that time, would it have been Wout Fass? There isn't a book of Wout.
There isn't a book of Wout, although there should be.
What other centre-backs would they have? Yannick Vestergaard. Might be a bit too early for him. I'm going to go with...
The book of Yannick.
I'm going to go with James Justin because I think he's sometimes played in a back three despite being a right back.
James Justin is incorrect.
Oh.
That's a really good guess, though. That's a really good guess.
Danny Simpson?
No.
Oh.
The back three that day...
Was it Leicester?
It was Leicester.
Oh, it's even harder.
The back three that day for Leicester was Wesley Fofana, Chaglar Soyuncu,
Of course.
and wearing the number 6 shirt, Johnny Evans.
Oh,
Johnny Evans.
You can't have Johnny.
The gospel according to Johnny.
Johnny,
Well, never mind, Joe.
Never mind.
You tried your best.
Yeah, look, you've got to lose some.
You got to
Gotta
lose
give you
some.
a chance.
Well, that's all we've got time for, Joe.
What a delight it's been.
What a wonderful weekend of football, and lots of exciting things coming up.
Yes.
But thank you so much for listening to The Big Man Up Top. If you want to get in touch, please do with the show. Ping us an email to podcasts@ucb.co.uk. Please follow and subscribe. Give us all the lovely reviews. Make sure you go on our YouTube channel at Big Man Up Top Pod and help us to get the word out. There will be a new episode next Tuesday, won't there, Joe?
There will.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.